Welcome to Daily Exchange. We're talking with Jimmy Nguyen here, and we're talking all about BSV and scaling and all the patents involved. See you guys right after this. We had Craig come on and tell us all about Metanet and explain it, but Jimmy, would you be able to give us your rendition of what is Metanet and the vision?
I will, and I've talked to Craig about this, about whether this jives with his understanding. The idea of the Metanet is that one day the Bitcoin blockchain through BSV can both power and subsume the whole internet as we know it. And how I describe it is sort of the combination, and I saw this from Ryan Charles from MoneyButton recently, it's the combination of information and money together. The internet right now, the internet protocol is a means for delivering data and content, right? We send email, we send data to create a web page that we can see, or social media information. And then if there's a financial transaction, right, on a website where you want to buy something on Amazon, Amazon then has to add some payment processing tool or layer to the website, right? So that the payment is sort of I don't want to say it's separated from the underlying content distribution or data distribution. Well, with the Bitcoin blockchain, it operates in its initial use case as a payment network, right? I send you Bitcoin to make a financial transfer. But with what's happening with BSV, especially with the larger block size and technical roadmap we have, you can use the Bitcoin blockchain to embed data with the financial transaction so that instead of having to layer payments on top of content distribution, they can happen natively combined in the same thing, where data or information and money become transferred simultaneously or unlocked simultaneously, where a Bitcoin transaction then can unlock access, let's say, to information or content or data. And that opens up a whole new world of possibilities, especially with micropayments, which weren't possible with credit card payments, for example, on the internet.
Yes.
So it's the idea of merging data and content with financial transactions.
Makes sense. And so with like taking some of those steps to create the system, what sort of the roadmap and where is that sort of at, I guess, to give everyone an update?
Sure. Well, the Metanet is not just going to be a single system, right? It's this whole concept. And I think many companies and people are going to contribute to its growth. We're seeing this all over the world right now from interesting developers announcing projects. So the first key steps are scaling. Metanet is not going to happen if we stay with small blocks. And this is why we fought the hash war last year, partly to move to a much more aggressive and massively scaled roadmap. Yes. We also need a stable protocol, which is one of our key principles for Bitcoin SV. Let's get back to Satoshi client version 0.1 and keep it locked down so people can build things. And so then beyond that, what happens next? Really, it's about creativity. It's about how people can think of how do you combine data and financial transactions. So we're already seeing some of it right now. We've seen some applications where people are, providing means to upload large files to the BSV blockchain. I think we're going to see things like being able to give users the ability to store their personal information, their data, like in an identity object, and have the access to that managed through the blockchain, the Bitcoin blockchain, so that someone can pay you, let's say an advertiser, a tiny amount of BSV to be able to say, oh, I want your user data, right? And so you don't get into these controversies that Facebook has right now, which is, oh my God, they're like selling access and providing access to your user data in exchange for you getting free social media. It kind of flips the equation. So I think the steps that we would provide as supporters of the infrastructure, that's how I think of what nChain's role is. We are trying to create the plumbing, the infrastructure upon which other people will build. And beyond that, it's going to be just people's creativity to figure out how to unlock what you can do once you have this combined financial transaction with information and content.
Brilliant. And I guess, what
for
sort
example, one of the things I'll mention that we are doing that helps that is, one of, Craig's inventions that's not, well known yet about Metanet, but will be, is, about how you can use Bitcoin transactions to compress and then decompress data that would then be a website, right? And do that in a Bitcoin transaction as opposed to how it's currently done on the internet.
Makes sense. And then with Metanet itself, what sort of has some new code been written or some new components to that started?
We have some teams that are working on certain aspects of it.
Right.
So one thing I can tell you about is, Craig has talked about this publicly, which is the concept of electronic data interchange. It is a huge hidden kind of business in the world where it's, formats for transferring of business data, yes, right, across all kinds of different industries. Well, we have a team working on, not EDI anymore, but BDI, Bitcoin or blockchain data interchange, moving the EDI process
right
to the Bitcoin blockchain, which is a perfect example of something that is very Metanet, which is taking data that also has financial value and moving the transfer as well as the payment of it to be managed by the Bitcoin blockchain. So that probably sounds less consumer sexy, but for the enterprise world, that would be a huge dramatic efficiency shift.
Definitely.
And is a great way of combining Bitcoin's mechanism as financial transaction with data transfer.
Brilliant. Let's talk about
right now that is architecting out a solution to that, and we're looking for some possible projects to test pilot it with.
Awesome.